let's just do a nice long extension. We're just going to, as we start with this mobility today, I know that some of you, maybe, or none of you, are interested in doing this, because there's less of you today also. I wonder if people are like, I don't want to do that workout again. And so take your hands just behind your back, just a nice, easy, static stretch. So interlacing those fingers. And then roll your shoulders forward. Just take your left hand in front of you. For some reason, I magnetically need to always push my glasses up in this position. And then switch and do the other side. Good. Take your arms up one more time. Just reach those arms up nice and long. And then exhale. Again, inhale. Take your arms up. And then down. 2 more times. Take your arms up over your head. Reach. Bend your knees. Hinge forward. Bring your hands down to the front of your shins. Keep your head and chest up. You can have your feet a little bit wider than your hips and just round your back. And then lift your tailbone, lift your chest. Again, round your back. And then lift your tailbone, lift your chest. 2 more. Round your back, chin towards your sternum. Inhale, lift your tailbone, lift your chest. Make sure your hands are pressed into. And again, lift your tailbone, lift your chest. Last time, round your back. And then lift your tailbone, lift your chest. Take your arms up and over your head. Reach. Exhale, take your hands down. Take your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers. Draw your knuckles down. Pull your shoulders back. Inhale, roll your shoulders. Interlace your fingers in front of your chest. Press your arms out. Inhale, take your arms up overhead, reach. Take your hands behind your head and just lay your head back into your arms. Like you're kind of like staring up at the sun if you were laying outside. And just elbows pull wide. Big breath into your chest. Inhale, one more breath. Exhale, inhale, turn your palms up, reach up over your head as best you can. Exhale, take your arms down to your sides, roll your shoulders up, back, and around, about 4 times. As high as you can towards your ears, down as low as you can, into your armpits. You may even find some catchy, bumpy, clicky spots. 2 more. But every rotation adds the breath. 1 more time. Inhale, take your arms up and overhead, reach. Exhale, interlace your fingers, bring your knuckles underneath your chin and pull your elbows up, kind of like a V. Breathe. Let your chest expand, let your rib wall expand. Turn your palms up again, reach up. Take your arms down. Take your both arms up, reach up. Roll your shoulders up, back, and around. Lower your one hand and tilt over. Reach in 2 directions. So you're not just tipping down, you're not just reaching up, but you're reaching in these 2 directions. Look up into your arm. Push out into your outer hip. Inhale, come back up. Take your bottom arm up. Roll your shoulders up, around and back. Lower your other arm. Reach up and reach down. Breathing. So reach. Really invigorate in 2 directions. Breathe into that side waist. Inhale, tilt up. Take your arms up, overhead, reach. Circle your arms all the way around. Bring your arms up overhead. You're in kind of a chair pose. Circle your arms around behind you. Interlace your fingers. Pull your shoulders back. Bend your knees further. Let your arms come up and overhead. Bring your head down. Lower your hands to your hips. Lower your hands to the ground and roll yourself up. Breathing, taking your arms up and overhead again, reach. Take your arms behind your head again, press back. Inhale, bring your head up to center, turn your palms up again, reach. Bend your elbows or bend your wrists. Bring that elbows underneath your chin. Lift the elbows up, let your knuckles touch your sternum. Press up towards the ceiling again. Take your arms, release them, roll the shoulders up, around, and back. Hold your right wrist with your left hand and tilt over. This time you're pulling in 2 directions. Extend the bottom arm, reach through the top arm. Breathe, feel that entire side waist open, but don't crunch down here. It shouldn't feel like you're just bending into or collapsing into the lower side. Inhale, center. Release, roll those shoulders up, around, and back. Hold and pull up on the one wrist as you tilt over. Reach through that top hand. Press into your hips. Elbows straight on the bottom arm. Inhale and back to center. Exhale, take your arms down. Roll your shoulders up, back, and around about 4 times. And 4. Take your hands behind you and just hold those fingers. Draw your shoulders down and back again. Lift the chest up. Take your arms off of your back. Open the chest and really expand the chest. Draw your chin to your sternum. Lift your chin up. So think of this almost like kind of if you were laying on your stomach, this would almost be a cobra type position. Lift the sternum, lift the chest, and then release the arms. This time roll the shoulders forward. Roll. Find every inch of rotation you can as you pull the elbows to the ears. Bring the shoulders forward and back one more time. Pull back as far back as you can, almost like a butterfly, like in swimming. Round a little bit, and then pull back open, getting bigger, and pull back open. Reach those arms up bigger, and pull back open one more time. Take those arms up and around, and then open. And just stand there. Widen out those feet. Breathing. And just breathe through the nose. If you want to put your hand on your belly, your rib cage, or your back. And think of the width of the ribs. The pulling down of the rib cage. Almost the hollowing through that abdomen. Notice your feet. Do your knees feel like they're caving in? See if you can kind of invigorate the legs a little bit. A couple more breaths. Notice if you can find an end point to your inhalation, and even an end point to your exhalation. Release the arms, drop the chin to the sternum, lift the chin up, drop the chin in, lift the chin up. So as the chin comes up, feel the motion not just coming from your neck, but see if you can feel that length pull from the navel, the top of the pelvis. Drop the chin. As you drop the chin down, the crown of the head way up here is pulling from the tailbone. So work to not arch the lower back, just allow this tailbone to sit. And then so that you have that length. It's not a tuck, it's just let the pelvis sit. And then drop the chin so you feel that pull from the top of your head down to your tailbone. And then from your pelvis through the top of your chin. A couple more. Go your range also. If you start feeling grabbing, clicking, popping in the neck, do less, but stay tall. Notice if you're letting yourself slump as you do that. Can you get long, like you're pulling each vertebra off of each other? Work the breath through it. And then now just turn your head to your right and to your left. And again, the same idea. You're pulling actually from the back side of your body as you turn your head to the right, and then as you turn the head from the left. Remember, the neck works with the opposite hip. So I'm pulling from the back of my right hip as I turn my head left, and the same thing as I turn my head right. I'm working across the midline of my body. So down into the neck, down across the midline, cross to the hip. And then separate your feet a little bit wider and begin to move your shoulder back. Keep your hips mostly square and just move your shoulder. And look around, and then you can kind of bend into the right knee as you turn left. Bend into the left knee as you turn right. So you're not a stiff board, or you're not just a stick, but you have mobility, range. Lift up your left heel as you turn to the right. Turn back, drop your left shoulder, lift up your right heel as you turn all the way around as best you can to your left. And rotate. Your arms are just kind of going with you. Look over your shoulder first, shoulder, hip, ankle, lifts. Breathing, look over. Move your arms, get them a little bit bigger. So as you rotate into and around with the arms. Arms come around. It's like a slow motion, what we do. Rotate around. And then come back up. Rotate all the way around. Just let those arms kind of float around the body like it's going slow motion. And then all the way around one more time, each side, all the way. Keep going. Let the arms keep going as if they went to slow motion and hit the sides. And then back over. Last time here. So you have the hips, the ankles, everything is moving. Good. And then center. And then let's just take that to kind of a more even pace. Just let the head move, either as a rider. Let the eyes move, let the shoulders move, let the hands move. Sometimes doing something slow is almost more powerful than the speed, because you really kind of see where the things glitch, where your kind of brain wants to stop you. When you work with speed, it hides the need to stop sometimes, and then you just get into the fault of the movement. 2 more, and last one. Good. Hands on the tops of the thighs again. Bend the hands down to the tops of the shins and then come back up. So you're just doing kind of a hinge squat, touching the thighs if you can, sliding, getting that contact to the body. And come back up. About 4 more. Hinge and back up. And 3. And 2, and last one. Stay down, breathing, and just lift that chest up, draw the chin in, lift the chin up, draw the chin in, lift the chin up. Feel your back bow as you breathe into it. That's expansive into the walls of your rib cage. If you're too low, you can prop yourself up onto your knees. If that's too much, just stand up. Bring yourself up about 1/3 of the way. Look over your right shoulder. Look over your left. Notice I'm moving my hips, my knees, my ankles. I'm still in a slight squatted position. So I'm straightening out one leg as I'm bending the next. One more time. Go ahead and turn to that right side of the straight leg and just rotate. And then just take, so your left hand is on your left knee, right leg is straight, right arm goes up. Watch that this left shoulder doesn't buckle into the ear. but you're getting a stretch at the outside of that hip. Look down, bring your hand down, just kind of side to side again. Bend and straighten those knees. Let those elbows kind of shift forward and back. And then again, pause, straighten out your left leg, put some weight into your right hand without your shoulder buckling, and reach up with your left. And then look down, take your left hand down, and let's come all the way up, and we'll cross crawl. And we'll cross crawl forward, and then we'll cross crawl in a circle. And then you'll cross crawl in the other circle. And then you'll cross crawl side stepping. And then you'll cross crawl backwards, cross crawl forward, and again back, and pause. Good. Go ahead and come to the ground. I even have these new mats. I found these new mat pads. So when we do that around the world kneeling but I just couldn't use them today. We're going to actually revisit that a bit on Saturday for lean strength, and also next week a little bit some kneeling work. So go ahead and just start on your stomach all the way down so that you're in kind of a TV watching position or whatever. So your hands are underneath you. If you need to go wider so there's not as much extension in the back. Or if you can get up here, get up here. And then just hold. And again, we'll go back to the breathing. And the beauty about breathing on your belly is really you get that pull from the psoas. You release the hips a little bit differently. And of course you get extension, which is really the powerful movement for the body. Flexion is a weakening movement. It's not a bad movement, but it's not where we're going to get our strength. No one ever looked at somebody who was all hunched over and go, man, they look strong. And just notice as you take several more breaths, your body wants to soften. And allow it to. So even if that means you soften into it a little bit and let yourself sink, that's fine too. And then slide your left arm out and roll your right arm over like you're going to roll. And if you want to roll all the way to your back, do so. And then take your right arm and then come back and then bring your elbows back underneath you. And then slide your right arm out, let your head drop, and then let your left arm come over. So you're doing just a one-directional slow roll, but not all the way. Probably about 3/4 of the way roll. Bring that left arm back, come back out in front, and return to your elbows underneath. Left arm reaches out, head drops, right arm opens, and lay back, maybe to the point where your shoulders almost both touch the ground. Your right knee can be buckled in like the shape of an H if you want. Then look over to your left hand, bring your right hand back in, and come back to level. Again, right hand reaches out, drop the head, and then roll. It's like what everybody's stretch really should be. And then, but it's done in slow motion. Left arm, and then reach. And then back. And then right arm, and reach. And back. One more time. Left arm, and reach. And back. And right arm, reach. And back. Good. Come back into center. Push yourself back into all fours on your forearms. and just nod your head, chin towards your sternum, lift your head up, drop your chin down. Bring your hands up underneath your shoulders, and then just look over your left shoulder, look up, look over your right. So you should be pretty sunk into your hips if you can, into your heels. Look over your left shoulder, look up, look over your right, left, and right. And again. Good. Come back up into all fours, and you're going to crawl one step forward, left hand, right knee, and then crawl back. Sit back into your hips. Right hand, left knee, sit back into your hips. Left hand, right knee, and back. Right hand, left, and back. Left hand, right, and back. One crawl step forward, one crawl step back. Breathe. One or two more times. Last time each side for me. And then just a knees rocking. Bring your feet flat. So you're shifting back, flat foot as best you can. So your toes are pointing away from your butt. If that's too much pressure on your knees, you can curl your toes under. But for some of you, there's very little distinction between toes curled under and toes flat. Paw. Good. Shift forward into your hands, as far forward as you can. And then just come back about a third of the way. So most of the weight is in the hands, and then back. Most of the weight is in the hands and back. And then all the way back to your hips again. This time curl your toes under and just come off of your heels. Most of the weight is back in your hips. Very little weight in the hands. And then full range. Shift forward, shift back. Shift forward, shift back. And back. Go ahead and grab your band. Place your band around your feet. So it's just around your arches. If you don't have a band, that's fine. Or if your band's too heavy, that's fine. You just want a band because it's going to give you information on whether or not those feet are out or in or what's going on with them. So you'll probably feel just some tension up the front of the shins. That front shin bone and muscle, anterior tibialis, is a little fired up there. Take the band behind you. See if you can keep it in while it goes behind you. Look between your knees and see if your heels are like dripped in or even out, which is probably not that. And see if you can keep them kind of pointing right up, straight up and down as you shift forward and back. Also notice, are your feet close or are they wide? Are they in line with your knees or inside your knees? If you need to, narrow your knees if the tension's too much. Keep that head and chest up. You may notice this week's work in one hip more than another. Shifting back into your hips, shifting forward. Notice how the feet kind of feel like they're bouncing a little bit. Mine are. And the shins are saying, hey. A lot of flexion on those feet. Do 4 more. Back and forth. And last one, notice that foot. Now go back, just pop that band off. Should be pretty easy. Flatten out those feet for a couple of. Notice if you turn your feet in, can you keep your feet parallel? Being aware of where your body is in space is part of movement and noticing, because we tend to have one foot that kind of shifts out anyway, or a hip, or we sit As my mom would say, akimbo. I have no idea what that means. It could be anything. I mean, who knows? It's probably racist. I don't know. But it's what my mom would say. So you want to just make sure that you're not just doing the same thing you always do because that feels comfortable, but knowing how you're doing and what you're doing so you can kind of groove new patterns. Now curl those toes again just like you had it before and feel those heels go slow. Feel those heels stay upright, stay connected. If you need to widen out your feet, do so. They don't need to be wider than your knees, just in line with the knees, and not right now inside. Not that they can't be, that's just not what we're doing right now. Couple more. And last one. Good. And shift back and just stay back. Nestle in and then bring yourself up. And then let's make a Z pattern or a 90-90 pattern. So if you're in a 90-90 pattern, the front shin is, if you have a mat, is parallel to the top edge of the mat. The back shin is again 90 degrees, and you're wanting to open the back leg 90 as well. So the top thigh of the back leg shouldn't be up underneath your heel. It should be back enough so your thigh is also 90 degrees. And I know Gail's a history teacher, but I think she gets the 90 degrees thing too. So body nice and tall, hold, and just feel that length coming from the back thigh, the front of the leg, and then begin just a little bit to hinge forward. Watch the collapse into the pelvis. Stay as tall as you can. If you have a block, something to prop your hands on, that's totally fine as well. Watch that back shoulder doesn't get stuck back, but comes forward. See if you can walk your hands a little further forward. So my belly button is not coming towards my pelvis, but I want my belly button to come forward more towards my thigh, my shin, and my chest is up. Now you may be getting a big stretch on the outside kind of quarter panel of your hip. And then see if you can go a little bit further forward. Maybe you can't get all the way down to your elbows, but maybe you can get your hands 6 inches away from your front shin. Notice if that back leg changed positions at all. And then see if you can get a little bit further forward. When you hold the position for a little bit of a time, sometimes your body just goes, oh, I got this. I can do this. As long as you don't find a big compensation, like your heel doesn't all of a sudden tuck in. As long as you can maintain this nice Z position, your chest is pulling forward, your belly button, your sternum is going forward across your leg, not hunched into your knee. Big deep breaths. Good, and then come back slowly, sitting up nice and tall. And then from here, you're going to actually turn toward that Z, so towards your back knee as best you can, and again maintain your height. So remember when we were taking the leg around us, that's kind of that position of that back leg now. Rotate, your hands are behind you. See if you can get this knee down towards the ground, the front knee, as you rotate toward the back knee. Breathe. Deep into the belly. Inhale, look toward your front leg. If your hand is on your knee, release that and come center. Now slide, if your left leg is in front, slide your left elbow. Make sure your right shoulder opens. You're not caving into your your lower left arm. And then now you're stretching coming out of this back leg. Reach your top arm overhead and kind of turn your head up to your top arm. And then in the same position, as best you can, you're going to roll towards the outside vertical leg. Watch that the back knee doesn't come to try to join you. Breathe. Again, feel that quarter panel back here, your quadratus lumborum. And then again, roll yourself up back to that extended position first. Then take your top arm down, get that load out of there. Press up, sit up. Again, square yourself to that front leg. Kind of readjust your world. And then sweep that back leg around. And we'll just take those legs and we'll take them both side to side. So you may feel a little glitchy still in that front leg hip that was out in there because we worked around that hip joint a lot. 2 more. Last one. Good. So we got to do the other side now. This is where I always say, good thing we don't have 3 parts, 3 legs. So again, 90 degrees, front leg, line up with an invisible top of your front of your mat. Left leg is back behind you, 90 degrees here as well, from your hip out, from your knee down. And then just sit tall first. So you want to sit forward, straight ahead as best you can. Notice if you're getting sloppy in this back shoulder, pull that shoulder forward. Now remember, it's not how far, how fast, or how much you go forward. It's can you notice, and maybe you're going to need to stop. This back hip may be kind of I can feel my back hip already kind of grabbing, but I'm going to kind of release that with my breath. And then I'm going to come a little bit further forward. Remember, we're coming forward from our navel, not our navel to our pelvis. If you can, keep this foot flexed. And then come a little further forward, hands maybe out in front of the shins. Watch that back leg doesn't come and join in. Deep breaths. Keep the shoulders as square as you can. So watch that right shoulder, not want to drop in. Come in a little bit further forward if you can get those elbows to the ground. You'll probably notice your left elbow is lighter in weight than your right. See if you can equal that out. If you can, go a little bit deeper. Now right there, that's where my shin kind of goes, I don't know about that. It's not my shin that's doing that, it's my shin that's kind of releasing from my hip. Remember, all movements like a catalog. It's a ton of information. Your body knows where to drop out and knows how to accommodate because it's got all this information already in it from all the moves you've ever done. All the moves you've ever done. And then bring yourself up. Think of all the movements that you've done are logged in like a Rolodex, and it knows where to compensate because it's done it before. And it'll just go back to it again. Come all the way up, sit up nice and tall again, and then we're going to turn towards that back leg. Hands can be behind you. Rotate. Keep that chest up. Breathe. Good. And then turn back towards me, nice and tall. And then you're going to slide your right elbow down. Keep the sternum, chest open. Make sure that you find that length coming out of that left quarter panel right there, that left hip. Take your top arm up. If you need to slide your right elbow further, do so. Just don't get all bunched up in the lower shoulder. And take that top arm up and overhead. Get that length coming from the outside of that hip. Keep that back knee down. See if you can get that front knee to go down a little bit. Take that top arm up. Now rotate from that left back hip all the way toward the ground. That leg probably went out of position a little bit. See if you can correct for that. Breathing. Oh, this feels amazing. Or not. I know we all have different definitions of amazing. Inhale. Look forward, look up, rotate back out. Take your arm back overhead again, get that length. Bring your arm up, bring your hand up, and sit tall again. Breathing. Again, you can try to press that front knee down a little bit. See if you can get more opening in that hip. As long as you're not leaning into the hand, sit tall. And then let's drop in and bring the back leg forward. Separate those feet, and you can feel, whew, all the way up that whole left side. That's what my deal was. Sorry, you got a little bit of what my deal was in your life. 2 more. But those hips should feel a lot more juicy now. Those hips should feel awesome as far as the rotation. Let your arms go, rotate with, turn and rotate around if it's there for you. Look over the right shoulder. Look over the left shoulder. One more time, each side. And then back to center. Good. And just kind of hold up. Just sit up nice and tall. Separate those knees, hold the shins, and lift the chest up. And just sit tall. I don't know what this movement's called, except sit tall with your knees bent. Drop the chin to your sternum, lift your chin up. Drop your chin in, lift your chin up. And then release your hands a little bit. Look over your left shoulder, look up. Look over your right shoulder, look up. And over. One more time, over. Good. Take your one leg behind you and in front and come all the way onto your knees. Just sitting on those knees, shins. If you don't have a mat, grab a mat real quick. We're just going to sit on our shins for a second. So you're just kind of sitting up and then slowly tilt back. Now, key is not to drop your butt back, but see if you can keep those shins long into the ground. Keep the back weight. Tip back as far as you comfortably can, and then shift kind of side to side. And then come back up. All the way back up, just kind of inside that hip joint. Bring the left knee or right knee forward. So you're in that half kneeling position. Shift into and sink into that front shin calf. And then come back. So think of your shin bone like a gear shift, and you're just going to shift it straight forward into park, as far forward as you can, and then back into neutral and or back into even, I don't know, is it reverse back here? So, I don't know. Had a Volkswagen once. 2 more. And last one. Stay forward. Just let the weight sit into that front leg. Let your body weight. If you can even hold around that front leg, do so. If not, hands are on the ground. Watch the ankle that it's not caving. Watch the arch on the inside of that front foot that it's not caving. Breathing. And then shift all the way back, slide that right leg back, roll that right ankle if that was your front foot. And then let's come up and bring the left leg up. Good, nice and tall, square up the hips, begin to shift forward and shift back. So an issue that we have when we have shoes, when we sit, is our ankles lock down on purpose because they know we need stability where we're at. So we're kind of giving information of we need stability, especially when you sit. So, and or if you wear shoes a lot or at all. And so we got to move that ankle and the bones in the feet to unlock so everything else can also unlock. Back and forth, get a little lower, and then sink. My back foot is extended, my weight is against my left thigh. Watch out for the arch of the front foot. Let the weight shift in. Feel that stretch, the back of the leg. Sink that left heel down. Don't let it come up. Again, be aware, big toe, arch, pinky toe. Keep that weight there if you can. Ooh, this is strong. And then hands down, and then shift yourself all the way back and forward. Both feet back behind you. Toes can curl under or be flat. You choose. Shift forward, shift back. Just sink into your heels. Come forward. Curl your toes if you want. Sink into your heels. Feel that stretch in those toes. Shift back. Big deep breaths. And then drop in. And we guys are done for today. All done, guys. Nice work. So we have tomorrow there's regular sessions, Superfit and that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, super stretch, lean strength. And then there is Monday. I'm not doing any sessions on Monday. So no sessions on Monday. There is the Adventure 5K, walk, run, bike, whatever. You do it at your own time. If you don't want to see anybody, my suggestion is to do it at 9 o'clock at night or 5 o'clock in the morning. You can do it anytime. It'll be the map and everything will be up at tonight. And if you want in, great. If that's not for you, that's fine also. They're just 3 miles around Peach Hill. Nice and simple. Little adventure spots around as you go. It'd be a great way to get yourself out of your own space and get into some other spaces. There's some beautiful things, some green belts we're taking you through and stuff to go see. Stuff you probably have never known that was even in Moore Park because A, you don't live in Moore Park, and then, but it's most people in Moore Park don't even know it exists too. So anyway, have a great day, guys. I will see you either tomorrow or on Wednesday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.